Welcome, everyone. This is Up Your Rank FPL. We are your hosts. I'm AC. That's Bri, bringing you another episode this time around, Game Week 8 preview. If you guys are new around here, something brought you to our channel and you like the content that we're bringing you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter at Up Your Rank FPL. Let's get it. Bri, my guy, we are back. It's been a hot minute. This feels like it's 2 international breaks or something. We have not been in front of a camera in God knows how long. The only football that's been around to entertain us has been Champions League and Europa League. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation with the Queen passing, and I'm going to leave it right there. Don't need to get into too much long talk about that. With respects to how it impacted football, however, it is a little unfortunate that the game week got canceled as a result. But personally, with the things that have been going on in my personal life outside of FPL, it couldn't have come at a better time. So I'm kind of happy that we had a little bit of a break and we weren't missing too much football in general, even if it wasn't FPL. How you feel about that?
Man, it's just one of those things. It's unfortunate, like you mentioned, but hey, things happen mysterious ways, right? I'm not going to lie. It's given certain teams a little bit more time to work with their new coaches and to try and sort some things out. So not going to complain there. Overall, due to the break where we've now missed, there were no games that were played in game week 7. So we've missed all of those games. They will need to get rescheduled. And then for game week 8, we actually have 3 additional fixtures that have been postponed. So we are not getting the Manchester United versus Leeds fixture. We're not getting Crystal Palace versus Brighton, and the Liverpool versus Chelsea game has also been postponed. So we'll see when the league can implement those, reschedule those games back. It's already a busy schedule due to the World Cup. It's going to be crazy. I don't know when these players going to get any breaks. It's going to be very intense for them. But football is back. Happy the game week's coming around. Ready to get into it.
Absolutely. For the viewers, we did record game week 7 preview. It was a preview video, right?
We did a game week 7 preview. Yep.
We did a game week 7 preview video, but when the news came out, we just decided not to release the video. It didn't make sense. It wouldn't have been relevant. Everything we had talked about would have no impact on anything. So if anybody was waiting for that video, we apologize. We didn't drop the video. I think we may have commented on Twitter about it, but we just want to let y'all know we staying consistent. We here. Up Your Rank FPL is here. Before every game week we drop in.
Yep.
We might only drop a couple hours before the game week, but we drop it.
Want to get it out there? Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Listen, man, with the game week back, I know you've had some time to sit with your team. I know you weren't. When we did the game week 7 the game week 7 preview, I know there were a couple of things that you weren't necessarily happy with how the team was performing in the very last game week. I think you've been doing just great, but with you having a little bit of time, I'm assuming you've got some good time to look at your team. But before we jump into the team, is there any news that we want to discuss outside of the cancellations? Anything else going on that, we need to take into consideration?
Well, I definitely think we have to take in how Champions League is going to play into the decisions that managers make for game week 8. First of all, looking at the teams that are going to be playing game week 8, you have a couple of those teams that are in Champions League. Man City, for example.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do in terms of, if you're wondering, bringing in any particular Man City assets? Is it a good idea to even bring in Man City assets, given the fact that we all know about Pep Roulette? But at the same time, knowing very well that there's only 7 fixtures to be played. And this was a time that a lot of people were going to wild card anyway. So I'm not really bringing up any managerial, talks right now. I'm just looking from the perspective of what are we planning to do with our team, knowing that midweek fixtures have impacted them, and how you're planning to use your chip strategy. The only managerial team news I can bring up at this particular time that I was paying attention to is the fact that nobody on Conte's team, talking about Tottenham here, is fixture proof. So he says. So he says. Anybody could get dropped. So he says. But then why hasn't Son been dropped? Why has Kulu been dropped?
Interesting.
So I'm confused. I don't know how I should interpret that comment with respects to, do you bring in Spurs assets this particular week, especially when they're facing a defensively poor team such as Leicester? Do you factor in what he says, or do you just leave it alone? Do you look at how they performed midweek against Sporting? Because that wasn't a great showing at all. 2-0. He said they should come out angry.
Yep. You know what? As someone who has followed Conte for a long, long time, I watched Conte when he was at Juve. Of course, I watched him when he was with Chelsea. Now I'm getting some more time with him here at Spurs. Conte can be a little bit unorthodox, and I would not take anything that he says in his press conferences. I would take it all with a grain of salt. Trust me on that one. But as it pertains to the team performance, if you're someone who's, looking at someone like, let's say, Kulu, who was dropped for the game, I actually think how they performed against Sporting bodes well for someone like Kulu, who, was the difference the week before, in the Champions League game the week before, when he came off the bench and completely turned the game around for them. So I could see someone like him getting into the team. A lot of the Spurs fans are really calling for that. They're asking, they're really saying that if it's not going to be one of Son or Richarlison going to the bench to make space for Kulu, it could even be Emerson Royale who makes space and put Kulu way out wide. We know Tottenham's going to be attacking for the vast majority of the game. Leicester's in terrible defensive shape right now. So that it could just be one of those things. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I would kind of err on the side of the gamble for that, if I'm looking at someone like Kulu in particular. But if it were Son or Richarlison that you're maybe interested in, I would actually be a little bit concerned with how they performed, for sure.
Okay, well, that's the news for Tottenham. What do you think about the call-up news for the likes of Pope and Trippier, and how that might impact them for this coming game week, if at all?
I don't think that's when it comes to international games happening after the game week. I don't put much merit into it. I don't think it'll affect their playing time too much, especially because the teams don't care. You know what I mean? The teams pay their wages. The teams are who, gotta manage them the majority of the time. So I don't think it matters much, but I do think it does well for the players' confidence, though.
Here we go.
I think that's going to be a big thing for them. Pope, Trippier's confidence is going to be good. With that, Ben Chilwell got the call up as well. And another one that I know I've been singing his praises for a long time, well, for a little bit now, at least since the season. Ivan Toney also got the call up for the England squad. So
he did.
Very very interesting.
I agree with you there. I guess I wasn't really leaning towards playing time or anything like that, but the confidence and being like, you know what? I just got a call up to play on the national team.
Yeah.
Yo, let me show you why I got that call up, which can then ultimately perhaps boost their performance in this upcoming game week. So the likes of a Trippier, the likes of a Pope, and having that double Newcastle defense, that could either go very, very well, or that could backfire real quick. Bournemouth are able to put one in the back of the net. And then we know Ivan Toney can kind of score against anybody. Who is he facing this week? They're facing Arsenal. Arsenal is not necessarily the tightest in the back defensively. So it wouldn't surprise me if Brentford were able to get onto that score sheet. Arsenal is not, no team this year, I think, is excelling defensively. That's my personal opinion. If we go back and we look at the score sheets, the game sheets, it's not like, who's kept the most clean sheets? City,
I think.
Is it City?
I think. And has City only have 3.
So there's other teams who've had 3 clean sheets too. So if they've only had 3, it's kind of a tie between a lot of teams. But outside of that, I haven't paid attention to much team news. If there's anything else that you want to bring up at this particular time before we jump into the teams, by all means, the floor is yours.
I think that, a lot of the other news is really around teams that aren't really playing much, that aren't playing this game week, like Rashford's injury is now being confirmed and stuff like that. The only other one to mention is Wolves, or 2 things to mention. Wolves have signed a new striker in Diego Costa. It is not the Diego Costa that, Premier League fans would have remembered from a few years back. He's gone drastically downhill. Diego is the kind of guy who's here for a good time, not a long time. So, he's not necessarily the best trainer and everything like that. At least those are the rumors. So he's just not, he's not it, but that has happened. And ASM, Alan St. Maximin, is still injured for Newcastle at the moment as well. So those are really the only news that I've come across. Oh, and Villa's, none of their goalkeepers were able to train recently. Martinez couldn't practice last 2 days, nor could their backup keeper. So, hey, anyone with Villa defense, something to keep an eye on. The coach said that, they might still need to do something and take a risk, but they didn't have any keeper in training.
Sounds like now is the time to buy James Ward-Prowse.
Hey, it's not a bad shout, man. Going against a third string or under 23 keeper or something like that, not a bad shout.
Definitely worth the punt. But outside of that, man, it's a tricky game week with so little fixtures. A lot of managers have either activated their wild cards. Managers are playing their free hit chip. Managers are taking -8s, -12s.
This is the week for that. This is the week for that. It's a tricky week to navigate.
It's a very, very tricky week to navigate, because what do you do with certain players that you want to hold? You're going to want them back. Think about it for a second. I know that Liverpool has not been performing top notch, but a lot of people are selling Trent and they know they may want him back because of what he's capable of doing historically. And that Liverpool, at some point, you would think that they will turn it around. Look what bringing the likes of Jota into the team come Champions League did to the squad. It looked like they had a little newfound life offensively. I know it was only 2 goals. However, it just felt like the play was different. The Liverpool that we have known for the last few years is not entirely gone. It's just been a very, very slow start. So you sell the likes of Salah, for example, but you may want him back.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to make sure that you can get him back? You don't want to sell him and then, buy 2 sell him and somebody else and buy two mid-priced midfielders, because then you're going to make it very difficult to find your way back. So do you buy a KDB? Do you buy a Son? And make sure you have a lot of money in the bank if you decide to go back to him, knowing he's not going to be playing come World Cup, well rested.
Yeah.
He got on the score sheet come Champions League. What do you do about those? Same with the Chelsea players. I guess I can't really say Chelsea players other than Reece James. If you have Reece James, is he a sell this week? Or do you just hold? These are some questions I'm pondering. What are you going to do? What are you going to do up front when you got the likes of Isaac, Tony, Mitro? You can't sell Haaland. So if you have Haaland, you have to hold them. So you have to have Haaland at this point.
Yeah, I mean.
But then what do you do? What are you going to say about Haaland?
He's a I don't even think about him. Everybody has. I don't even think about him in my team.
Sure, but then there's only 2 spots left for the forwards who are gunning. And then isn't Richarlison at a forward?
Yeah.
Right? If he gets on, if he continues, it's just crazy. I don't know. Navigating this space right now, it's the trickiest that I've personally felt. So I want to show you how I gambled going into game week 8.
All right, let's see it.
So my team is here. My team is a little bit in shambles. It is, I don't love it. I don't love it at all. I don't know what to do. I made my transfers because my plan was to wild card come game week 9. So what I did, Salah out, KDB in. I also did Luis Diaz out, pocketed a local 0.1. Son in. Why did I bring in Son? Like you said, I don't believe Conte. I don't believe that Son is going to get dropped. He's been performing so poorly and he's starting every game.
Yeah.
So what better fixture to maybe get back on track? He's gone 5 straight game weeks blank. What better game week to maybe get back on track than against Leicester? Ideally, I would have wanted to bring in Kane, but I'm not going to transfer out Mitrovic. I'm not going to transfer out Jesus just to bring in Kane. But ideally, he's the one who I would have wanted to target for this game week. So I got to settle for Son.
Okay.
So those are my 2 transfers, but I couldn't make them for free. I was -1 in the bank, so I had to get rid of Trent. And by getting rid of Trent, I wanted to jump on the bandwagon of Newcastle. I've been looking at Trippier. I wish I got him before the price rise, but it is what it is. And because I'm not ready to make the goalkeeper transfer because I'm so stubborn, I just decided to go for Trippier and say, hey, maybe against Bournemouth, he can get a clean sheet. If not, maybe an attack and return. They're playing at home.
Okay.
So those are the transfers. So all of my Liverpool players are gone. KDB, Son, and Trippier in. Now I have a bit of a benching headache because I have Andreas on the bench, but he's facing Nottingham. And I don't really want him on the bench, but maybe Bailey against Southampton can do something.
Gotcha.
But maybe it's recency bias because he had just scored a goal against City. So now I'm scratching my head like, I don't know what to do. Andreas has cost me points sitting on the bench before, but so has Bailey. And now I'm in a position where I don't know what to do. This might be the week where I finally bench Ben Mee, and for whatever reason, Brentford keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
So I really just don't love this team. But with the 3 Liverpool players not playing, with me planning to wild card anyway, my punt this particular game week is on Son. I don't even know if KDB is going to play. I have no idea with this Pep roulette. I thought about it. I slept on it. And I said, you know what? I don't want to keep thinking about it. I just have to do. And I saw Son's ownership. Selected by 9.4%.
Under 10%. Okay.
He's an actual differential.
Okay.
When was the last time we could say that Son has been a differential?
Okay.
I want to know that. He's under 10% ownership. I had to gamble. I thought about maybe Kulu, but again, seeing 12 minutes on his last game, seeing him not start in the Champions League scared me.
Scared you.
It scared me, right? So the likes of, Haaland, Jesus, Mitro, Martinelli, Nico Williams is in the game. And you know how I feel about my attackers going against my defenders. So I got Mitrovic going against Nico, and I have Son going against Ward. I repeat, Ward is still in my team. We're at game week eight, and I must be the only silly man on this planet where Ward is my starting goalkeeper, believe it or not, because I am so stubborn to make a transfer for a goalkeeper before my wild card. Crazy.
Fair.
Here's what I am thinking, to be honest. At the time of recording this video, Nick Pope is probably going to go up in price. I will have just enough money to transfer out Ward to buy Pope. And if I want to take a real gamble and hope for 2 clean sheets, I'm just not sure it's worth it. Is taking a -8 worth 12? It's just an extra 4 points. I don't know if it's worth it. Maybe I just leave Ward in. But if Tottenham battery the thing, then it's it's a 0 in the back of the net.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to go that approach. I do want Pope in my team. I'm not willing to take the -8. So I'm only doing the -4. This is my team. I'm probably going to activate the wild card as soon as game week 8 begins. Or I may just wait until the Saturday. We'll see. It really depends on how the players play, but that's my team. I'm not in love with it. I'm probably going to change it, but if they kind of do something spectacular, KDB and Son Hall and Trippier clean sheet, hey, I'm not going to be upset. I think I made the right decision then. I'll only be bothered if Andreas, gets onto the score sheet. I'm just not sure what to do between Andreas and Bailey. And I'm just not tempted to play Ben Mee. He's fooled me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. You ain't getting me. You sitting right on that bench, and Estupinan, I'm not getting rid of the Brighton guy right now. He's not costing me nothing. 4.5, sit on the bench. You're there. The one time I brought you in, you got me points. I'm happy with your performance so far. That's what my team is looking like. Maybe I can get 50 points. Let's see.
Hey, man,
what do you think?
I think, you know what? A lot of the questions that you're tossing up are same questions I would have as well. The big X factor is definitely, there's 2 big X factors, and it's the other big hitters. You're basically playing the 3 premiums for this week. You got Son. That could be a huge differential, if he turns things around this particular game week. That could be massive. And then KDB is the other one. Will he get the full 75, 80, 90 minutes, considering how recently he just played? Could Bernardo Silva easily slot into the role? For sure. You know what I mean? There's just so much that could go on there. So I feel you on that one. And the other one, I think the other tricky fixture that I think is going a little bit under the radar, I actually think is the Brentford fixture. I could see Brentford, I don't want to say winning the game against Arsenal. I could just see the Brentford versus Arsenal game being a difficult game. You know what I mean?
Agree.
For the Arsenal attackers. So those are kind of the 4 players that I'd maybe that I know you have question marks over. So trust me, I get it. And then you got Ward. You still got Ward back there, but you're already planning to move him on wild card. Nothing else you can do.
So here's my logic with bringing in KDB, because I did think about not bringing him in. But my logic is City have dropped points.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that an international break is coming up, is Pep that worried about KDB's minutes when, generally speaking, he is the one who's fixture proof, generally speaking? This year, it seems to be Haaland. KDB's only not started one game.
Yeah.
Right? How often does KDB go 2 and 3 matches in the Prem not starting?
Yeah, it doesn't really happen.
The fact that he was already rested played a factor. And I know he was rested, obviously, because of Champions League.
Yep.
But there's another break coming up. He should play, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. It means nothing when it comes to how to managers run their team. But
Pep is a different guy. You know, I've been burned all, the first few game weeks with Mahrez. I thought, hey, man, Mahrez had a great preseason. I thought he should have been playing. But, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So I never put anything past Pep. But if there's anyone who can kind of work around that, it's definitely KDB. So
one final comment before we have a look at your team. I know the armband is on Haaland and the vice captaincy is on Jesus. It was there by default. I just didn't change it. I think I might put the vice captaincy on Son. I may even put the captaincy on Son and just say, you know what, this is my punt week before I wild card, and I'm just going for it.
It's funny you mentioned that. It was going to be the last thing that I was going to ask you. If you considered actually captaining Son versus Haaland. Like it looks like one of those weeks where if there's going to be a gamble, this is kind of the week to gamble. We don't get a lot of them, midweek. We don't get a lot of them this early in the season, but it does feel like one of those game weeks where, hey, this is the week a potential gamble can pay off. So I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, I like where your head's at. It's one of those that I think is going to come down to as a last minute decision, and it's hard to go against Haaland right now with just how good he's looking. But yeah,
it's really hard. He's scoring everywhere. He's doing everything. It's amazing. The other captaincy options, to be fair, Mitrovic against Nottingham Forest. He's a great captaincy option in my opinion. Cancelo defensively against Wolves. I'm not saying that it's the best captaincy option. I'm just saying he's somebody who I've considered. I even considered Trippier. I'm not having a captaincy headache, because I don't intend to really move it off Haaland. I don't think a lot of people are. I don't think we're brave enough, but I do feel as though some people who are playing it a little bit more risky early on and want to take a chance, there's some options coming into this game. So that's what my team is looking like. What about you, Bri?
I love it. All right, let's put mine up. All right, this is how my team is partially set up going into game week 8. The one thing that I want to mention, the wild card is active. Wild card is active. So a couple of things for the reasoning behind the wild card being active. I'll go through a couple players in my team that had to leave. Reece James, postponed game. Trent Alexander-Arnold, postponed game. Mo Salah, postponed game. Sanchez, postponed game. Pascal Gross, postponed game. That's 5 players. I couldn't even field a full team, even if I tried to, I couldn't field a full team.
How many free transfers?
With my free transfers.
Only one?
I only had one free transfer going into the game week. So it put me in a position where it was like, yo, I'm either doing the wild card next week, like next game week 9, that's when I'd always planned to, or I go ahead and do it a week before, and I've gone ahead with the game week before. So the wild card is active, and I'll walk you through a couple of my picks. The one thing that I really tried to keep in mind with my wild card is that I need to have quick options back to the Liverpool players that I probably want come game week 12. I think that's when the Liverpool fixtures jump back to being a little bit more favorable. They have a couple of difficult fixtures over the next few weeks, but I think it's come game week 12 that I'm going to want them back in the squad. So I needed some easy routes back into that, or fear at least, one or two moves to get back. So starting from the back, Pope is in the team. We've had to get rid of Sanchez. Sanchez was playing good before I brought him into my team. And then, as you know, he did nothing but get ones for me. So now I'm jumping on Pope. Listen, if Pope can't save me, I don't know if my goalkeeper is going to go all season without getting a clean sheet. So Pope is in net. My big reason for going with Pope and not another goalkeeper like Lloris or Ederson or Rhea or someone like that is really just due to the amount of saves that Pope is getting. He's just making so much more saves than the other goalkeepers. And I know we spoke about this a couple videos back. Cancelo, I mean, I think he's in great form. I think he's been playing pretty good. City can, they're not keeping a ton of clean sheets, but their expected clean sheets are high. They keep letting in these silly goals. So I'm hoping that they revert to the mean and just continue to keep some clean sheets. Wolves have been atrocious all season. I think how many goals? I think they only have 3 goals all season, 3 goals in 6 games or 4 goals in 6 games. It's quite crazy how poor they've been offensively. Hence, they've had to go and buy another striker because it's just not working out for them offensively. Trippier has been really, I know he's now a very popular pick, but he has been crazy. His big chances created as a defender is only second to Trent, and he's only slightly behind Trent. His crosses in the box is again second only to Trent. Newcastle have conceded a total of 6 goals that they've conceded, or 7 goals. 6 goals. They've conceded 6 goals in total, but out of those 6 goals, 5 of them came in the Liverpool and the City fixture. I just think that, those are the 2 teams that if you go and get scored on all year, if it's those 2 teams, I'm cool with that happening. So we brought in Trippier. And then I have somebody in the back who I'm not necessarily excited by. Soufal is there for West Ham. West Ham has not been good. Soufal is here as a stopgap. I want to be clear. It literally is either I was going to go for Vladimir Soufal or I was going to take out even more funds and play Patterson from Everton and just put a dead stop player on the bench. Big at the back has not worked out thus far for anyone, so I just had to take funds out of the back.
How much is Soufal?
Soufal is 4.4 mil, right? And I do have a mil in the bank. Potentially, I'm good. I'll show you what my team is going to look like. There's one transfer still to be confirmed, but I'll walk you through it. In the midfield, Martinelli, he's not going anywhere, even though Arsenal fixtures change. I just think he's been excellent value thus far in the season. I don't see him going anywhere out of my team, bar an injury or something crazy. Andreas is starting for me this week. He's playing Nottingham Forest. He's on corner kicks, hoping he can nick another assist. You know what I mean? I want him to play. I think he has a good fixture this week. I'm gonna go with Andreas. And then I'm taking the gamble on Kulu, Dejan Kulusevski. I think Leicester, Leicester have conceded 16 goals in 6 games. Let me say that again. Leicester have conceded 16 goals in 6 games. That's just atrocious. That's just atrocious. And their biggest deficit has been against Brighton when they got 5 goals conceded there. So, anyone, they're there for the taking right now. So Kulu is in the team. He's playing Leicester. It's a home game, expecting Tottenham to bounce back. I'm hoping that he gets the start, but like you taking the gamble on Son, Kulu is kind of one of my gambles for this week, and he is a 1 week gamble because I do have plans to get him out. And then next is Jared Bowen. This is a move that I don't necessarily love. West Ham are playing terrible. This is a move that I brought in purely for the fixtures because he can last until it's time to bring back Mo. And my plan is to remove Bowen from Mo Salah come game week 12. That's just his time, regardless of how he performs, his time is already ticking in the team and he's just being brought in. Then we have Mitro up top. I mean, we've talked about him enough. I think he's been a beast so far. He has a great fixture against Nottingham Forest. He could potentially be a captaincy option. So I'm going with Mitro. Holland, nothing needs to be said there. And then lastly, I have Kane starting up top. The big gamble is, of course, Kane versus KDB. I've opted for Kane. Leicester is his favorite team to face. In 14 appearances, he has 17 goals against Leicester. We've just talked about how poor Leicester look. Kane is one of the top for shots in the box. He's one of the top strikers for shots in the box, for big chances created. He's leading all the strikers as well. I'm just hoping that he continues to take over and he really just puts Leicester to the sword. He's my vice captain this week. Then on the bench, I've gone with Iverson is on the bench. I've taken the money out of Ward. I don't want Ward nowhere near my team. I don't care if he keeps starting. I'm done with him. Don't want to see him no more. Nico Williams first off the bench, and then Reece James last. Now, you do see Alan St. Maximin there, but as I mentioned, we just got the news that he is still injured. He was going to be a little bit of a sleeper for me, but he is, before the night is done or before the game week starts, he will be leaving my team, and I'll actually be transferring Alan St. Maximin out for Wilfred Zaha. I have money in the bank enough to make the transfer. The reason I haven't done it yet is Zaha is actually set to drop either tonight or tomorrow night. I'm hoping it happens tonight by the time this video is gone out, so that I can basically save a 0.1 and I'll just swap him back in the team before the game week starts. Even though he has no fixture this week, he blanks. And then he's playing Chelsea next week. Chelsea has not been keeping clean sheets at all. So I do not view Chelsea no longer as a difficult fixture. I will be probably starting him next week. And then following that, it's nothing but a sea of green for him over the next few weeks after that. So I'm looking forward to playing Wilf, but he just won't be playing this particular game week. A lot of gambles in this wildcard team. There's a couple players who I don't love, but I don't plan on them being here for long, and I'm looking at them as short-term punts. The other transfer that is also planned, like this is the only transfer that's planned right now to happen next week, is Kulusevski is only getting this game. Come next week when he plays Arsenal, that will be James Maddison, who will be my team.
Okay, so you're already planning out the transfers.
Already planning.
A lot that I see going on here. I like the Kane pick, obviously. I couldn't find a way to bring him into my team. I've already made unnecessary forward transfers. I'm not going to do that again. The one that strikes me, and that's interesting, are your two midfielders, Bowen and Kulu.
Yep.
I'm surprised about Bowen in particular. It's just the fixture. It's just the fixtures. It's just that it's against Everton.
To be honest with you, Bowen in the team right now. This is something that I've gone back and forth with when I've made this. Bowen really could just be Maddison from this week. It could just be Maddison from now, there's only 0.2 difference in the price for them. Could be Maddison. The only reason why I haven't done it is just because the fixtures, and I wouldn't necessarily want to play Maddison against Spurs.
Right.
Whereas with Bowen, I don't mind playing him against Everton.
Right.
So it's not that I necessarily want Bowen in the squad. I just don't see another good option at that price point. Mount isn't playing. I don't want one of the city boys like Foden or Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. Saka, I wanted to move off of my Arsenal players. And I don't want to bring another one back in. And so it just became this thing of, at the price point, especially thinking about the transfer that I need to make for Salah come game week 12, when I take out Kane, I'm going to get, 4 or 5 mil. I need that money to go straight to Bowen to bring in Mo. It needed to be someone who was around that 8 million price.
Got you. You wouldn't gamble on somebody like a Ward Prowse. For the, it's funny you make mention of Saka, because oddly enough, he's actually been returning in his last 3 games.
I know.
Which is so strange. These things always happen. I double checked something with Zaha. You said Zaha is set to drop. He looks like he's set to rise.
He's set to rise.
Yeah, I'm just on Fantasy Football Fix. It looks like he's set to rise. Price change. Price chase progress 97.4%.
Oh, I thought, well, that would have been a big change from a few hours ago.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I hit reload. This site hasn't been working for me that great, to be honest with you. Because I'm trying to reload my team and it's not showing any of my changes. But I figured that the prices are somewhat accurate. I don't know. That's just what I see on my end. I could be wrong. I may be having some issues on my end, but that's what I see for him. So I just wanted to point that out because of the comment that you made.
Okay, good. No, that's fair. That definitely, when I made this team from last night, he was definitely closer to dropping than rising. He was like 90. I want to say it was like 97 or 98% to drop.
That's way too big.
Yeah.
So
it's been crazy. So I don't know.
He'd have to be the number one brought in player then right now, which I'm not even 100% sure he is.
I wouldn't say, with him not having a game, I can't see how that should be the case. He doesn't have a game. He plays Chelsea. I just don't. That just sounds like FPL messing with the prices. That's what that sounds like to me. Honestly.
But going back to your team, what you have, the double Newcastle, that's what I was thinking about. The double Newcastle defense, I just can't take the -8 for it. It doesn't make sense. As soon as you take the -8 and then 1 goal goes in, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You got 4 points at best, unless Trippier and concede 2. It's against Bournemouth. I'm not expecting them to all of a sudden light them up, but stranger things have happened.
Hey, Bournemouth has conceded the most goals this year in 6 games. Bournemouth have conceded 18 goals. Bournemouth is a goal machine. I need that. I just need Newcastle to stay strong. Don't leak. Just don't leak.
I agree with you. Otherwise, man, I really like the team. You have your plan set up about how you are going to maneuver game week 9 forward. I'm just curious about you said Kulu is going to be Salah. How are you going to get back to Salah via Kulu? You have to downgrade someone else.
Bowen there's a couple of things that's going to happen. One, Kane is going to go down to whether it's an Isaac or a Tony, come game week 12 to get the, few million out of him, right? That is then going to go to one of Bowen or Kulu, whoever one of these midfielders is. The other is also going to drop, right? The other one is also going to I'm also going to take them out of the team because I'm going to then look to upgrade, whether it's Trippier or Soufal back to Trent.
Right.
So it's a total of, it essentially is a total of 4 transfers over the course of game weeks 10, 11, 12. Hopefully there are no other injuries. There's a hit in there that should get me back to Mo and Trent by the time the fixtures change.
Got you. I got you. Okay. This could really bang. This definitely could bang. The Sufal one against, I mean, Everton is, I don't know what to expect, you know.
Listen,
Gordon seems to be okay.
Everton have only scored 4 goals all season. I need them to just not score in this game week. That's all. Just sit back and just take a 1-love Bowen penalty. I don't need this game to go crazy. Doesn't need to be nothing crazy. I just need West Ham to correct the ship.
Imagine you call that Bowen penalty.
A Bowen penalty.
West Ham clean sheet. Boom, boom. Bonus points for Bowen. Some defensive bonus points possibly for the West Ham. Double Newcastle clean sheet. Wolves can't score. Like it could be a week. Kulu gets the nod over Son.
But I think that's the call that I think is going to really make or break this particular game week, is whether or not Kulu starts. I think if Kulu starts, Spurs look better with Kulu in the team. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's better suited to the role of the other attackers as well, because he loves to stay out wide, whereas Richarlison loves to cut in. Son loves to cut in. I just think it makes for a more cohesive attack with him in the team. So I don't care who, listen, I'm nothing against Son. I don't care which one of him or Richarlison start. I would just prefer Kulu to start.
I hear you, brother. Last thing for us to talk about. Are or should anybody consider the captaincy options, other captaincy options outside of the obvious, right? Those obvious players who exist on both of our teams, the likes of a Haaland, where the armband is likely on him. Kane, if you have him on your team, maybe the armband is on him. Mitrovic, if you want to gamble, maybe the armband is on him. Are there other players who we may not be thinking about who the armband should be on going into game week 8?
For sure. I think there are a couple. I think that this is the week of gambles, and I think there's potentially a couple of sleepers. For one, I think Cancelo is a underrated captaincy option this week. Wolves have only scored 3 goals all season. The likelihood of them scoring is very low. It's never 0, but it's very low. Cancelo is also playing. He's one of the people who I think is guaranteed to start in that team, just considering their defensive issues. We know he can nick a little assist plus a clean sheet. That's 2 return. You're already looking at a double-digit haul from something like that. I think he's one that's going potentially under the radar. Cancelo would definitely be one of mine. If I had to give you another one, this might not be popular, but I think targeting the Bournemouth fixture is also a good option. Bournemouth, again, they've conceded 18 goals so far in the season. Someone like Isaac is a potential. I know we don't have a big sample size for him, but he's someone who I'd potentially also look at for captaincy. Those are the 2 I'd throw out.
Bet. I would bring up who I've already brought up earlier in this video, Son. Son would definitely be my differential captain, and I'm still contemplating putting the armband on him. I just don't think I got the balls to do it. But I just feel as though, going 6+ game weeks, nothing, no return. That's odd. And it's not like he's not taking shots or that the opportunities are not coming its way. It's not like he's going a full 80+ minutes, no shots or no attempted, no nothing. It's not what it's happening. It's just that he's not scoring. The shots on target are low, but he's got to get his confidence back. And his confidence doesn't even, on the pitch when I'm watching Son play, his confidence doesn't look like it's necessarily down to me. It just looks like he's not in the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he has no confidence. It's just like the ball is not finding him. That's being played through other players.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that Son's fault? Can he maybe get it back together against Leicester? So I'd be looking at somebody like him. Also, if you are brave, I know we don't have him in our teams anymore, but I think that credit still has to be given to a degree to players who are in form, and Ivan Toney is still in form. We were just talking about call-ups to the international team and what that could possibly do to your confidence. Now you've been called up. You're going to be playing Arsenal, top team in the Premier League at this particular moment. Yo, let me show you why I should be starting. Let me get a quick brace against these guys. Just saying, that's all I'm throwing out there. Those would be my other two picks. We'll see what happens. For now, the armband's on Haaland for me.
I like that. I like that. I agree with that. I agree with both of those, especially the 21. He's gone under the radar. It feels so backwards for me to get rid of a player who I've had right after he scores a hat trick in the last game that he played, to then get rid of him and transfer him out. It feels crazy to do that. So I totally agree with you there. But yeah, I think we've touched on everything that we needed to for the game week. Again, we didn't end up having any games last week. So happy to have FPL back. Again, if you guys are new here, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. We want to hear who you guys are captaining. What don't you like about your team? What are you doing different? We definitely want to hear from y'all. If you're not following us on Twitter, you could do so at UpYourRankFPL. And please be sure to tune into the next one. We'll catch y'all at the end of the game week. Peace. Be sure to like and subscribe.